Welcome to the Social University podcast. We are so glad you're joining us today because we want to help business owners, entrepreneurs, and people just like you who want to build their business online. Listen, if we can do it, you can do it. So let's go.
Good morning. I'm Karen Terradas with Social U, and it is time for the very first What's Up Wednesday for 2023, where we come to you live every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Central on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, so we can talk about social media marketing and digital marketing tips, tricks, and trends. So let's go ahead and get started. We have some very fundamental information for January to help you plan, to help you have a successful January, because if you guys are anything like I am, you're still kind of sluggish from the holidays and you're not firing on all cylinders quite yet. So let's talk about getting back into it. Today, we're going to talk about back to basics and some things that you really need to do not just at the beginning of the year, but quarterly, where you kind of need to check in with your brand and make sure you are where you need to be. Next week, we're going to talk about how to self-audit your social media so you know if you're on the right platform. The 18th, which is the third Wednesday, we're going to talk about how to create your own content calendar, and I will have downloads for you guys if you're interested in that. And then the last week of the month, we're going to talk about tools to keep you organized and stay on track. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk today about back to basics, and I have 10 tips for really getting back to basics so that you are focused and your content is working for you and not against you. Number one, and I know you guys, I feel like a broken record, and I know you've heard me say this repeatedly, you have to post regularly. It doesn't have to be 10 times a day. It can be once a day. It can be 3 times a week, but whatever works for you, whatever works for your bandwidth, it needs to be consistent. I would much rather see 3 really high quality posts than 1 post a day, 6 days a week that's just okay. Also, you want to make sure that you don't burn yourself out. So if you can't maintain six times a week, don't do that. 3 times a week is great for most platforms. It's about the minimum. If you can handle that, that's great. You want to maintain a minimum. And if you're overwhelmed, pick the platform that works the best for you and focus on it first and make it really consistent and really good first before you add a secondary platform or before you refresh a secondary platform. To me, nothing is worse than like getting all excited and starting a new, like, let's say you start a TikTok channel and you put 4 videos up the first week and then you haven't touched it in 6 months. That does not look good. So you want to be consistent wherever you're going to be. Consistency, you have to post. Number 2, respond to comments and DMs. Check your comments. Even if you're not as speedy as you, like, even if you're responding to stuff from last month, let people know that you see them. I'm sorry I was out. Maybe not sorry that you're out. I'm sorry that I missed your message. We were out for the holidays. What can I do for you? Just let them know you're there. Nothing is more frustrating for a customer or a client to reach out to a brand and have a radio silence. It is overwhelming. So you want to make sure that you are providing the best customer service you can, and that includes responding to comments and responding to your direct messages. Number 3, monitor your brand. That means looking up your brand name, your business name across all platforms, Twitter and Facebook and all of the different social media sites to make sure that people are, if they're talking about you, that it's positive. And if it's not positive, you're addressing it. Now, of course, there are different apps to monitor that, Google Alerts, TalkWalker, several. You can do it manually if you'll just do a simple search in the search bar on the platform periodically. We did this for a customer the other day and found out they had more than 1 page. They did not even know about the second page. So it's good to do it once a year, once a quarter, and find out what's going on with your brand. Number 4, monitor your industry. It isn't great if you're in the middle of a discussion with a potential client and they bring up something that's happening in your industry and you don't know what's going on. So it's very critically important that you stay on top of your industry. For us, that can be a challenge because, of course, Facebook and Instagram, they change on a dime. Things change very quickly in this field. So it's very important that we stay connected and make sure that we understand what's happening so our clients get the best service possible. Let's see, number 5. Industry. Number 5, identify trends. I'm not big on only doing trendy stuff. Of course, I'm really and truly big on transparency. Be yourself, embrace your own personality for your own brand. However, you do need to understand trends that are happening so that you can put them to use for yourself and for your business. Sometimes those trends can really work in your favor, especially if it's a song or a sound that works for your company. But it could be anything from a trending filter to a trending hashtag or to a trending, again, a sound or music. You just have to stay on top of what's trending for you. So, I mean, if you're in the wedding industry and you don't know the colors of the year, that's a big deal. It's important to stay on top of those. You need to, you would subscribe. Again, I'm just using the wedding industry as an example. You need to know what's happening. It's just like any other industry. Real estate is very different now than it was a year ago. So it's important to stay on top of the trends and what's happening in your industry. Okie doke. Number 6, answer questions in groups and forums. Now, not everybody is forum savvy. So if you want to get on Reddit or Tumblr and talk about what you do, that's totally okay. You may not have time for that, especially some solopreneurs. But if you are on Facebook, you should check the groups in your area pretty consistently to see if there's anything that you can answer to help people out. And I would say really and truly the groups on LinkedIn and the groups on Facebook are your 2 biggest opportunities to respond to customer clients or customer questions. And what will happen after you've been responding for a while, people in that group will get used to you and they'll tag you when they see the question. So you don't have to look as hard as you do when you get started, but people will start to recognize that you are an authority on that topic and they'll go to you for questions and for answers. So that's important. And it's great for leads when people see you as the authority in your industry. So don't overlook some of the what's happening in Trustville and what's happening in Hoover groups so that you can answer questions when necessary. Number 7, connect with customers, especially brand warriors. User-generated content is huge, and a lot of businesses really overlook it. Just because you have someone who posts something for you doesn't mean it's bad. A lot of times those images and videos are way better than what the company will put out themselves. There is no replacement for third-party endorsement. Don't believe me? Yelp and Amazon built an entire business industry on it. So if you are not responding, especially your brand warriors, those loyal people who comment on all your videos, and those folks who constantly repost your stuff and tag you and take pictures with your stuff, talk to them, engage them. I would rather have 1 or 2 really, really awesome brand warriors than 100 people who follow my page and who do not engage with me at all. That's nuts. Okie doke. Let's see what's next. Number 8, sounds simple, but not always so simple. It's Madison. Check your analytics and make sure that what you're doing is actually working for you. It's very frustrating to spend a lot of time on a platform and not get any reward. There's no payoff. So we'll just use Pinterest as an example. If you are on Pinterest and you're not getting the analytics that you need, or you're not getting the feedback that you need, or the growth that you want, or the click-throughs that you want, it may be time to reassess being on that specific platform. So checking the analytics is the only way to know what's working for you so that you can continue to do it or revise it. Number 9, define your objectives. What does success look like? I probably did those backwards. You don't know if you're succeeding if you don't know what the point is. It's like, to me, it's like getting in the car and driving around and hope you find the location instead of looking up where it is. That's nuts. So if the whole point of your social media is to grow followers, are you having follower growth? If the point is to gain sales, how are your sales? You have to know what you're looking for to know if there's success there. So check that and make sure that your objectives are clearly defined so that you know if you're having success or not. And number 10, and this is a big one, I can't stress this enough, schedule in advance. Nothing is worse than being held slave to you're being held captive by your own social media. And I know from personal experience, we work with a lot of business owners who are doing everything by themselves, solopreneurs, and you're busy and you have a crisis or something's on fire and you look down and, oh my gosh, it's 4:20 and I haven't, it's 5 o'clock at night and I still haven't posted anything on Facebook. What am I going to do? Scheduling ahead will really help you deal with that. I highly recommend a week out. Now, there are different people, different platforms that would tell you to do a month out. I think that's a little too far because things can really change on a dime and you don't want to have a tone deaf post. So you don't want to be talking about how beautiful it is in your area when everything's been struck by a tornado and there's a ton of damage. So 1 to 2 weeks is good. And as long as you can operate in advance like that, it's very helpful. So you literally don't have to be held hostage by your own posting. So that is it for me, the 10 tips to get back to basics. Next week, we will be talking, what are we talking about next week? How to self-audit your social media, how to look and see if what you're doing is actually working. And that's it. So you guys, thanks for joining me this morning. I'll be back next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Until then, if you have questions or comments, you can send us a DM, leave me a comment. We definitely monitor those. And until next week, I'm Karen Terradas with Social You, and I'm here to help. Thanks.
Thanks for joining us for the Social University podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media at Stay Social You. That's the letter U. And we will talk to you next week. Remember, you've got this.